signed up for Shaker and you're not quite sure what to do, well, first of all, welcome. My name is Adel. I'm our client success manager here at Shaker. And I'm going to walk you through kind of first steps on getting things set up within your Shaker profile. So the first thing that I would do here is go ahead and click on Settings on the bottom left. You're going to notice that we have account settings as well as user settings. Normally where I start off at is in the user settings. The first thing we'll check in on is your profile. Make sure that your first and last name are correct, as well as whatever your email address may be. And then always make sure to set your time zone. We want your emails to arrive at the preferred time for you and your location. And then obviously you can change your profile picture by clicking this button, at which point you can select from any file that you have on your computer. Once completed, obviously, click the Save button on the bottom right. From there, we have our Email tab on User Settings. This is going to allow you to link your email account. So if you're using Gmail, it'll say link your account in green. You'll click it. That will give you the opportunity then to go ahead and follow the Nihilus instructions to connect your Gmail account as if you would on any other website. You'll also have an option on, if you're using a different service, to use IMAP settings. For example, if you're using Outlook. If you are using Outlook, you'll go ahead, click on there. It's going to ask you for some information to be able to connect that. If you're struggling to find that information, Googling IMAP settings for Outlook will pull that up. It'll generally be the first link. From there, you have your email notification settings down here. Send me an email, daily digest of pending tasks via email. So every day, whatever time that you set, obviously based on the time zone we just spoke about, you can dictate to get an email of all the tasks that are kind of coming up for you to get completed that day. On top of that, if this box is checked, the second one, you have the opportunity then to receive an email every time a new task is assigned to you. So if you have an admin that's moving things around for you and you want to be notified if new tasks show up because they've changed a deal stage for a client, then this is the place that they would be making sure it's checked. If you don't want that, however, because you do not want to have quite a few emails showing up regularly on just individual tasks, feel free to uncheck that and then click Update. Below that, we have your email signature. If you're using a text-based email signature, feel free, go ahead and plug in what you would normally plug in. You can copy paste anything that you already use. If there's a URL, feel free to just click that link and plug it in, and then any picture you may need in there. Obviously, you can set the settings very similar to a normal Gmail signature. Under here, we have Show Advanced Settings. This is where you can plug in any HTML headers or footers that you may have. If you do have an HTML-based signature, you can actually plug that into the footer if you would like. We have set this up so that you can go ahead and paste that code in, and it will operate just as a normal HTML signature would operate. Obviously, once completed, click Save. Now we'll make sure that obviously your settings were saved. So from this email portion, you'll see Calendar down here. This is not to be confused with the calendar function on this tab. This is for your personal calendar. So if you would like to have any type of important dates or tasks to show up on your personal calendar, whether that be a Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, or any type of iCloud account, you would simply copy this link into the corresponding calendar that you would like to utilize. Each one has slightly different instructions. That's what we've provided them below. But feel free to go ahead and plug those in. The Gmail calendar, for example, you just add calendar by link, and then you would paste this. It's very simple. So these events down here, though, are what dictates what actually shows up on your personal calendar. So if you only want to see listing dates, maybe inspection dates, closing dates, things of that nature, if you only want those showing up on your personal calendar, you can dictate that. Also, if you would like to see maybe your contacts' birthdays or home anniversaries, you have the opportunity to do so. So that makes up your user settings. We're going to get into account settings now. Now that we've completed our user settings, we're going to hop into our account settings. So the first place that we are going to start is with our collaborators. So this is broken down between team and vendors. Team are the slots that you are paying for. So anyone that would need access into the Shaker system would fall under your team. So whether that's other agents, if you have in-house photographers that you may want on here, that's where your team is going to come into play. Vendors are going to be outside members such as lenders that you may work with regularly. If you do have outside photographers that you work with, those will fall under vendors. With this, you can add very easily a new team member or a vendor. So if we wanted to come in here, new team member, it's just going to ask for your first and last name, your email address, and your phone number. From there, obviously, we have our vendors. This will ask for a little bit more information. So first name, last name, the company that they work for, their title, and then the email address and phone number. With this, again, team members paid for, vendors free. Your team members will be able to log in. Vendors won't have a login, but if you assign a task or if you have emails that you need to send to them, you will be able to through here. They will get those notifications. Now let's talk about roles. Roles will utilize the collaborators, meaning the team members and the vendors that you have added to the system, so that you can assign them to a particular role within your transaction process. So if you need to add a role such as a lender, maybe a photographer, and you want to be able to assign tasks or utilize their information within your email templates, you'll need to create a role. It's very easy to do so. We start you off with 4. All but 2 can be deleted at any point in time, but you can edit any name. The 2 that you have to keep on here are buyer's agent and listing agent, and again, you can rename those if necessary. But if we wanted to get rid of closing coordinator, for example, we could just remove it with the delete button here. But in this case, let's just add a new role to try it out. So we'll add lender here, and later on you'll see how we assign the role when we get into our deals. But for now, feel free to add any roles that you deem important to your transaction experience that may play a part. For example, again, if you want to introduce your photographer to your client via a message template, or if you want to assign specific tasks to your photographer. If they're in-house, obviously they'll be able to log into Shaker to see those tasks. And if they're outside of Shaker and they're just in a vendor role, they'll still get an email saying, hey, you have this task to complete. We're going to speak about custom fields now. Custom fields are important because they are utilized for information that you need about a contact or a deal that we may not already collect. So within a deal, if we open it up, you'll notice on the right-hand side that we have multiple fields that are already in the system for you. So things such as the address, the MLS ID, listing date, you've got the offer date, inspection dates, commission rates, list price. There's plenty of things that are already in there that can be utilized, but we may not have everything that's important to how you operate throughout the transaction process. So if we go back to settings and custom fields, again, you have contact level and deal level. The contact level would make sense for something like a wedding anniversary for your client. We already collect their birth date information if you would like to enter that, or home anniversary date. But anything on the contact level that may be important that you want to keep track of, you have the opportunity to add by clicking New Custom Field. The deal level are going to be important things, as you see here, like a lease ending date, maybe a termite inspection date or a chimney inspection date. If there's something else that you need to collect, by all means, we can create a new custom field here. We have the opportunity to choose from text, phone, email, number. Number operates in terms of a currency if you check this box, but in most cases, every 3 zeros, you're going to have a comma. So if you are wanting to keep track of a number such as a social security number, even though you wouldn't really be doing so, you would want to make that text based so that you can alter the number how you would like it to be seen. We also have date and time. So if you just have it without the checkbox of include time, it will just show you the date that you would like to set. You can include that time, at which point if you have an appointment that you're setting and you want to remind your client of the date and time, for example, an inspection date, you can include that time to make sure that anything that's created from a template for your messages then includes both the date and time. And then we also have drop-down. Drop-down are great for yes/nos. You can add or remove as many of these options as you would like. Another opportunity would be for type of payment. We actually already have it in there, but in the example, you could do things such as FHA, conventional, cash. So you can drop down as many options as you would like so you don't have to retype them every time. What you'll notice as we move on is that these custom fields will be available to you to access through your message templates as well as through the deal stages. Now we're into our message templates. So a message template can be used on an automated email or a one-off email to either a contact level event or a deal level event, depending on where you would like to send it from, or if it is in fact important to a deal. We're just going to walk through creating a template though. So from here, you'll see new template. We will select that. From here, we obviously have name, subject, and then we can utilize our editor, preview the email, and attach any files we may need. So naming your email message template is going to be important. This is how you're going to be able to locate the email. We're going to be building out a couple of deal stages that will automate an email in the offer stage for a buyer. So I'm going to name this buyer to start so I know what the email is for, which side of a transaction it's for. And then it's going to be congrats on your offer. With that subject line, just as you normally would, I actually am going to go ahead and copy and paste this subject line. So we'll go, hi, I want this email to be able to be used over and over again. So we're going to click on our fields here, which we actually just added some extra fields. You'll notice down here we have that chimney inspection date that we just saw, termite inspection date, lease ending date. Those were all added. But in this case, I want to be able to say hello to whichever contact or contacts are on the deal that I'm working on. So hi, deal first names. That's going to pull all the first names. Congrats on your offer and I want to pull the deal address that I entered. So I want this to say congrats on your offer at the property address of XYZ here. It's going to autofill. There are some next steps. First up is your inspection, scheduled for, and then I can go through this fields category again. As long as I've filled out the field on the deal stage, which we'll walk through, you'll be able to go ahead and pull this information without having to find it and retype it every time. So if we're able to find our inspection date here, And what this will do is, as it's a date and time category, first up is your inspection, which is scheduled for, let's make something up and say April 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That will show up right here. So this is just a quick example. We can add any attached files, things to look for in inspections, questions to ask. You can add that in there as an attached file. Obviously, any links that we need or any pictures you want in there, we can add. But any piece of information that you have claimed or any roles that you've created as well, you'll see here buyer's agent, email, phone number, listing agent. If you have a lender that you've assigned, you'll be able to pull up the same information on them so that you can introduce them. But from here, we can also preview the email. It's not going to register any names on this one, but it did go ahead and input 1234 Fake Street. And then it also went ahead and put in a fake date and time here for us. So we'll plug this back over to the editor and click Save. And now we have our buyer email template, congrats on your offer. Now that we've added our custom fields, created our roles, and also created some message templates, we're going to hop into our deal stages and create a deal stage for our buy side offer. So within our deal stages, we can obviously edit the names or remove them if need be. We can also rearrange these however we would like. But in this case, we'll leave things as they are. And you'll notice we can add a triggered email, add a task, or add a field. Personally, I always start with fields. If I know that there are pieces of information that I need to collect for a deal to move along from stage to stage to make sure that emails are filled with the proper information and that tasks operate as they should, I want to make sure that I have the proper information filled out. So when I click Add a Field, what this will do is when I go to change a stage, Shaker is going to prompt me to enter in some information before that stage change takes place. Now, if you don't have all the information, you can still move the deal forward to the new stage, but at least this way you have a reminder to still fill out pieces of information that are important to your emails and tasks. So we're moving this to the offer stage. Something that'll be important that we have is the address of the home that we've made the offer on. We'll just click Save there. We can add another. You can add as many fields as you'd like. I also want to make sure that I plug in the inspection date if we have this scheduled. And then we'll go ahead and put the offer date in here. Since I know the offer date, I actually want to rearrange these, so I'll click on this little 6 dot icon and move it above the inspection date. And then if there's any other information that may be in here, maybe we want to put what the list price was, we can have that in there. Again, I'll move this up a little bit. So we'll just have those, and then let's see, let's add a date in here as well. So let's add a termite inspection date that we're going to have in here on top of the regular inspection date. So we have our fields filled out for this new deal stage. I want to add a triggered email. So this triggered email, we can select who it goes to. In this case, I want to send it to the buyer. We just created a message template for congrats on your offer. So I wanted to send that. I can decide actually which one of my roles I want to send it from. In this case, we'll just say it's from me. After we've done that, we can dictate when we would like that email to send. So right now it's saying 7 days after a deal enters this stage. Well, if anything, I would like it to send once the deal enters the stage. So we can actually change this to on, and I'm going to change this to a 0. So 0 days, it's going to be on when a deal enters this stage. So if you're going to use a deal enters this stage, you can only use on or after, mainly because we Can't see into the future to know before you're going to move a deal into a new stage. Also, any fields that utilize a date, you can set a delay off of. Those can be on, before, or after. And you can use any of those custom fields that we've created that have a date attached. So, for example, we've added lease ending date, termite inspection date, chimney inspection date. You can send an email off of any of those. We're going to leave this as a deal under this stage, though, because that's when we want to see that email get sent out. And then I also want to add a task to this. You can add as many tasks as you would like, and to any team member, or I should say any role that are created from earlier on within this, the roles do need to be assigned out in the deal, which we'll talk about when we get to deals. But I'm going to have this one just get assigned to myself. What do I want the task to be? Let's call to confirm our chimney inspection date. Let's make sure we spell chimney right. And we're going to add a due date on this one. And I'm actually going to do chimney inspection date will be my selection. I'm going to have it happen one day before that inspection date. And then I also want to have, let's add something that's going to happen as soon as we change stages. So we're going to have this on, and I want this to be a task assigned to the buyer's agent. And it's going to be fill out for inspection. Perfect. So that's going to be the task that's going to get created. So I'll go ahead and save that. We now have a couple tasks that are going to happen based off of this particular deal stage. Everything so far is kind of assigned to me. The email will go to the buyer, though. It'll be from me, though, which we set up that signature earlier, so it will include that. We can add as many emails and tasks as we would like. And we can also order these however we would like if we want to make them a little bit easier for us to kind of see what's going on from this point. You can also edit or delete any tasks, emails, or fields at any point in time. The next piece that we want to touch on is workflows. Workflows occur before and after a transaction. So in our last video, we discussed deal stages. So everything that occurs through the transaction and into closing. If you have any maybe tasks that need to occur after a deal has been moved to close or any initial emails, workflows are going to be things that you'll create, whether it's for some type of lead nurture, or let's say someone has recently purchased a home and you want to make sure that you've now kind of put them in a post-home buying workflow to send an automated email to congratulate them on their home purchase. So in this case, let's go ahead and create a new workflow. We'll name it Home Anniversary. Now with workflows, you need to create them off of a delay. So the first step will be a delay here. And we can do this off of the initial calendar date, which can be any date in a calendar, or a contact's date field. The last step is usually reserved for the second function within your workflow. For example, let's say we have an email that we want to send out initially. So we will use a contact's date field for this. So we're going to change it to 1 year after, and we're going to select home anniversary here. So 1 year after a contact's date field of home anniversary, we want to create a task. And we're going to say call are enjoying their new home. Now this can go directly to the listing agent, or it can go to a team member, which can be anyone on your team that you've input into the system. So in this case, we're just going to assign it to the listing agent. If we had a congratulations email, we could also send that on the same day. But for now, we're just going to leave this as the task to call and see how they're enjoying their new home. And I want this to repeat every year. So what I'll do is I'm going to put in a new delay. And in this case, we are going to use the last step function now that we actually have a step before it. We'll change this to a year again, and we could do before or after. So we'll change this to a year again, and we will go ahead and save that delay. And then we'll add the task again to call and ask how they are enjoying their home. So perfect. So we've just created a workflow. We can enroll contacts into this workflow. We can also enroll particular tags into this workflow. So if I wanted to use a post buyer right here, I can enroll anyone that has this tag associated, which we will get into here momentarily. And then I can also turn the workflow on and off. So if I don't need a particular workflow to be on at some point, or I maybe am tired of using it, but I want to save it, I can turn it off. In this case, we'll go ahead and turn this on. We'll go back to our workflow, at which point you'll see the name of the created workflow, when it was created, how many people are enrolled in the workflow, and what the status is, whether it's on and off. Now that you've created it, you can go back and edit or delete the workflows after they've been created. The last piece we need to set up under settings is our integrations. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Currently we have TLC engine, which is a lead engine that you can add if you are a member of it. The other one is DocuSign. So if you work within transaction rooms, you'll simply need to click add and then log in to your DocuSign account. Follow the steps there, at which point we will be able to map the information that you've filled out within Shaker into your transaction room, so you're not stuck filling out information twice. And that'll do it. We've now gone through all of our user and account settings. Feel free to reach out with any questions. We will be more than happy to help.